Ready.
Okay. Welcome back to Open Book Games. I'm Rowan.
And I'm Phil.
Today we're doing a campaign diary. So 2 years and 2 minutes for the campaign that I'm running for Elias.
And Elias is my character, and I'll get started now, I suppose. Elias grew up on a ranch riding horses and herding goats and sheep. When the Fae threat started to encroach on his home, he signed on with the military arm of the Temple of Osiris as a scout. His home has since been engulfed in the Feywild incursion, and his family is living in a refugee camp. During one scouting mission, he came across 2 Fae children, and he interpreted his orders as needing to kill them, a decision that haunts him to this day. He was later reassigned to the Temple of Osiris in the large desert port city of Hadar. That's where the campaign starts. Hadar, despite its greater resources, was losing the war badly, and there were numerous reports of Fae operatives working within the city. Children were being kidnapped from the Silt District or the slums, and the bodies of the mortally wounded were being abducted by a necromancer known as the Dark One, later revealed to be a mentally deranged Kitsi named Laila. Elias has teamed up over time with several individuals, including Bara, a self-shaman who was working as a therapist for the military, Talir, a paladin in this temple who lost his family to his own alcoholism, Jahar, a local Kitsi rogue with complex family issues, and Daroga, a human bard who is investigating the problems within the slums of the city. Elias has spent his time rooting out corruption within the city military and government and the temple militaries, as well as locating and removing spies within the city. Several of the spies have been captured and turned into informants. The rest have been killed. Elias and his team also spent time hunting down magic coins that Laila had been using to teleport in and out of the city to aid her abductions. Eventually, his team discovered that the reason the war was going so poorly and that these issues had been going on unchecked is that Mateo, the general of the state military, had made a deal with Raziad, the king of the Fae court, allowing the Fae to push to the edge of the city in exchange for removing the poor people from the city, the slums, the Silt District. Elias also wound up taking care of Zaki, the child of Laila and Raziad, heir to the Fae court, nephew of Jahar, and all-around sweet kid. After having cleared up many of the immediate threats to the city, Elias formulated a plan. He and his team would infiltrate the Feywild and kill all the leaders of the Fae court, severing the contract. Early on in his plan, they also decided that they would need to set up Zaki as the next king of the Fae court with support from the activists within the Feywild. Okay, so that was like 2 minutes and 10 seconds. But I tried.
It's pretty solid.
But Laila, Mateo, and Raziad are total garbage. They're horrible. And I can't decide which is worse, but it's probably Laila.
It's Laila.
They all need to die. They're terrible. Yeah, and if you paid close attention, you'd probably be able to figure out exactly how messed up Jahar's family really is. Yeah, that's 2 years and 2 minutes, roughly.
There's so much we didn't cover.
This was the absolute, bare minimum that you need to understand the plot. So,
Let's talk about Jahar's family ties.
Okay.
So Taya is my character in the campaign that Phil is running for me. She, in the campaign, starts dating and eventually marries Toby. Has that happened yet? No, that's like the finale, I guess.
The planned finale.
Yeah. So anyway, 20 years later is when Phil's campaign that he's playing takes place. So Taya and Toby have 2 kids, Jahar and Laila. Laila finds a book about necromancy that Taya said she got rid of, burned.
It's like a cult memoir that she picked up early on in the campaign I'm running for Rowan.
So she didn't get rid of it, and then Laila found it, and it drove Laila crazy.
And, well, from what I've heard, Laila was pretty nuts to begin with.
Maybe.
There were some strong implications that she was already basically a sociopath and had no empathy and things like that. She kept one of Jahar's fingers in a necklace.
Not just Jahar's finger.
What do you mean, not just Jahar's finger?
One of the first times you met her, I described her as wearing many necklaces with little jars on them. Zaki told you that. Yep.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that happened before she found the book. There were even notes in... Okay, so Vara, being the military therapist, had done some work with this screwed up family, including some journal pages, and I'm pretty sure there were hints earlier on about Toby, Layla's father, being aware that she had some pretty serious like lack of empathy and other psychological issues.
Oh yeah. What happened when you found those notes?
So we didn't have a good place to keep the coins that Layla was using to teleport around. So we were keeping them on our person. And while we were sleeping, she teleported in and just completely trashed the place.
Into Vara's cabin.
And left taunting messages around an injured Ishkar, my horse, animal companion.
Best friend, really.
Best friend. So we'll just leave it at that. She's a horrible person and she deserves to die in a terrible way. But anyway, Zaki's her and Raziad's kid, and that's a pretty messed up and abusive relationship. Layla was abducting children from the Silt District and basically treating them as her own. But when they got out of line, she would kill them. Zaki, being a sweet kid, wasn't aware that she was killing them, but was aware of all these, like, his captured friends, the only other children that he knew. Great mothering on her part, just the top tier parenting. And then when Zaki pissed off Raziad, they banished him, and she decided to just teleport him by himself to a random part of the city at night. Key point that Fae are very obvious at night. Their skin goes pitch black and they grow like fangs, like pointy teeth. And luckily for Zaki, Elias was the one to find him. But now Layla holds that against him, even though if anyone else had found Zaki, he'd be dead. But instead, he's in the care of his grandparents and is doing okay, I guess. But how do you explain to, what is he, like 4 or 5?
He's 5 now.
So how am I supposed to explain to a 5-year-old that, like, yeah, your mom is a wild animal and needs to be put down?
Probably just like that.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll take it super well. You know how easygoing 5-year-olds are about losing their mothers due to complex psychological issues that happens every day, and they all just like, oh yeah, all right, I got it. Of course. By the way, we also need you to be king of this place where you've just been exiled from and didn't have any friends because of, again, the top tier parenting that was going on. So, yay!
2 years and 2 minutes.
With additional elaboration on how horrible of a person Layla is.
She's not that bad.
She's worse.
It's true.
Anyway, thanks for stopping by Open Book Games as we revisit my campaign trauma.
Bye.
Bye.